my body's not under stress. I don't feel stressed. And he's like, no, your body's under a lot of stress. You just went through surgery. You had the radiation treatments. You're doing this and that. Your immune system is low. He's like, your body's under a lot of stress. And I sat there and thought, how is that even possible?
Your mind is racing. You can feel the tension in your shoulders, in your neck. Nothing in particular is happening. This is just kind of a normal state for you. Work can be stressful, life can be stressful. You're going, and the schedule is filled up pretty tight. And you're excited for your vacation week at the beach this summer. You sure could use one. Even though you'll probably do some work while you're there, so you don't come back to 2,796 unread emails. But you're used to this. You've got this. But somewhere in the back of your mind, you're not sure this pace is sustainable. I mean, you'll make it work, but if one plate drops, what would happen if you just sit in the quiet? Would your mind race faster than a McLaren? How do you get some peace? It would be nice to rest a little more, but how? Have you ever just let go? Or is that a scary prospect? For me, it's scary AF. So I found the one person on earth who has mastered mental rest. Highly trained and with the certification list a mile long, Maureen Whatley has climbed the corporate ladder as a top executive in people strategy and is now a life coach, primarily serving executives that want to optimize their performance professionally and personally, and do it holistically, do it mindfully. Be sure to think of a few friends who come to your mind that are kind of high strung and send them this episode. Just text them right now. Think of those people that are just going. They've got a lot going on. Send this to them. It is going to help. You can learn more about Maureen and connect with me at ALLISON'S.com. Here's my chat with Maureen Whatley on mental rest. The triumphant return of Maureen Whatley. Maureen has been on this show and did an episode on the psychology behind emotional eating. And now you're back to talk about mental rest. Mm-hmm. Welcome back.
Yeah, great topic. Nice follow-up.
It couldn't even be more timely. I think through the pandemic, people are so busy, like the productivity mindset where people are leaving their jobs in droves. There is the great resignation. They're really reevaluating what their lives are like, but the hamster wheel is so loud,
mm-hmm.
Yeah,
mental wellness hasn't been as important as it is right now in the workplace or even in our homes because of COVID and all the things that we've been going through. I mean, we have war going on in the world. Yeah. We have a recession that's about to happen in the United States and probably impact the entire world. We have COVID that we've been going through, so many deaths, illnesses. People are suffering. There's a lot going on in the world. And then we say, yeah, there's this thing called mental wellness.
It's like, that'd be nice.
Yes. It's like, oh yeah, there's this part about health that we've probably largely ignored or avoided. We focus a lot on physical health. And, I think mental health is a big part of everything that we can do. The way we look at a whole way of living in wellness, mental health is a big part of it.
I think so too. And I think from a mental rest perspective, there is a hustle culture that is being unwound right now. And I think, why is it so hard to rest for us?
That is a really good question. Because mentally and physically, spiritually and emotionally, we want rest. So why do we keep ourselves from doing what we naturally are inclined to do? We're on a circadian rhythm, right? 24 hours. Well, what do? We rest. We sleep. We have to sleep. Our bodies crave the need for a break. And essentially what rest is inactivity. And in some ways you could think of it as freedom from stress. And we all want that, but we don't allow ourselves to do that. We live in, like you said, a busy culture, a busyness. Like we have to do so much productivity and we put so much stress on ourselves and we don't allow ourselves to have a break.
But I think it's kind of unwinding the intrinsic need to earn rest. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where we kind of unwind it culturally. And I'm interested to know about, you have certifications like out the yin yang. Tell me about your background in this.
Why do we always laugh when we get to this part?
It's just so long.
Funny. I know. I don't even know where to start with myself sometimes. Let me just point out, I think, the things that are relevant. You know, I've been studying for 3 years and I have many certifications in mindfulness meditation, but I'm reaching the highest level of teacher accreditation. I graduated in July, thank goodness, and finally getting on the other end of that. And I also have a certification in applied positive psychology and health and wellness coaching. It's a lot of other certifications, but I really find myself moving towards this area of mental health. You know, I've always been into wellness, you know, physical wellness. But what I am learning is that there is a huge need and there's a huge area of opportunity for us to focus more on mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness in order to find that holistic wellness that we all want. You know, we think about financial wellness, for example, or physical wellness. We focus a lot on those things. But we're forgetting an important part of our wellness, which is the mental, emotional, and spiritual piece.
So what about the earning rest? Why is it a reward for working hard enough?
It's interesting. You use the word reward.
Asking for a friend.
Yeah. Well, if your friend were here, I would say it's interesting that you use the word reward because rest is, in mindfulness meditation, is considered a reward state. You know, it is something that we get a lot of benefit from, and we want to be able to achieve that sort of restfulness. And a lot of it is, you know, I believe that we can, what we call drop on a dime. You can drop into rest on a dime.
What?
I know, if you practice it mentally. If you practice it mentally. And oftentimes I think we look for rest in external ways, like we want to go to a resort, we want to be at the beach, we want to be somewhere that kind of puts us into rest, which is all great. And that does happen. I love going into nature and allowing myself to drop into rest just by taking in the beauty of this world. So I'm not saying that isn't a good idea, but what I am saying is that we are very busy. You know, you and I are very, very busy people, that we should be able to drop into rest at any moment in the day.
I got to pause for a second because, you know, when you talk about going someplace that allows you to rest, you know, I couldn't even imagine what it must be like to drop in when you're in a heightened state of anxiety or somebody walks into the room that totally triggers you and turns you into a full-blown jerk. You know, like something that you don't feel like yourself, but you're in, your defenses are up. You know, like how do you even begin to unwind what that could look like or offer practices when you're not in that state? From what I understand, that it's important to practice when you're in a calm state so that when you are in a heightened state that you can access it quicker. But where do you even begin?
It is such a great question, because I think on one hand, we think we've got to start in a certain mode in order to access that rest. So I would like to share a story because I think it makes it more relevant.
I love Maureen's stories. Please do.
Tell a story. So I've been going through a lot in terms of my own health. I've had breast cancer twice. I've recently had another surgery. I've had to do all of the radiation treatments, and that put a toll on my body. But I've gotten so conditioned to this pain and to this, you know, what I'm going through physically, that my brain is able to adapt and kind of turn off some of the suffering, some of the pain and the stress that's going on in the body. Well, I recently...
How do you do that?
Well, the brain does it. The brain is used to protecting ourselves. Mm-hmm. And so it's protecting me from the stress and the pain. And I have, I've got a lot to do in a day. I can't sit there and focus on how badly I feel about or how something hurts. So the brain just gets conditioned to ignore that. So I have recently started seeing a fantastic naturopathic oncologist. I mean, incredible, the depth of tests that they run, the blood work that they do. I mean, it's incredible. But I'm sitting there talking to him in a 3-hour debrief on my tests. 3 hours of him going through all of my test results. And he's saying, this is an indicator of that. This is an indicator of this. We check this level of this. We check this level of that. And he gets to this point. And of course, I'm like glossing over because it's just too much information for my little brain. I'm like, oh my God, what is the point of all of this? And then he says something very interesting. He says, and this is an indicator that your body is under stress. And I was like, what? What do you do? Well, my body's not under stress. I meditate every day. My body's not under stress. I don't feel stressed. And he's like, no, your body is under a lot of stress. You just went through surgery. You had the radiation treatments. You're doing this and that. Your immune system is low. He's like, your body's under a lot of stress. And I sat there and thought, how is that even possible?
How is it not possible though?
Exactly. Why would I think it isn't?
Right.
And then I said to myself, I have this amazing toolbox around meditation and bringing awareness to the body that I should sit down and explore a bit more and practice some of these skills that I'm learning or that I've been able to develop in my mindfulness meditation practice. And so by turning toward myself, turning inward to the body, I suddenly began to realize, oh my God, there's a lot of tension in my shoulders. I can feel it in my elbows. I could actually feel the inflammation in my fingers. I could feel the tenseness in my jaw and all the muscles in my cheeks. I'm like, wow, there is a lot of tension. And I would turn my attention to my body throughout the day over and over and over again and realize, wow, it's still there. It's still there. Now, the beautiful part of going back to your earlier question, which is, well, how do I do this? You learn to relax those areas as immediately when you're able to turn your attention on a part of your body. Like if I said, right now, Allison, just relax your shoulders, just drop them and relax them. You can immediately do that. If I said, tense up your hand you're not using right now, and tense it really tight into a fist and just hold it and hold it and hold it and then relax. You're able to do that. So your mind did that. And you're able to systematically go through your body, relax the muscles around your eyes, relax your jaw, relax your legs and your hips. Like you can just go through your body and do it. So I've been doing that over and over again all throughout the day and just allowing the stress to melt off my body. And so that's how you drop on a dime. And the more you do that through the day over and over again over weeks, it's immediate. You can immediately go into...
But is it more like a self-guided meditation to, like a consciousness to be able to do that? Because, I remember sitting at my desk and, at work especially where I felt trapped, I left my job. My shoulders were so tight, they hurt. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I can't figure out how to find a relief. And there was one week where I literally got 4 massages, a Reiki session with you. And I think I forget something else, but it was like something ridiculous in a week where I'm like, I can't figure out how to relax my shoulders. They're just so tight. And there's a feeling of, I don't know if hopelessness is the right word, but like it didn't seem like there was a way out. And so, doing meditation and practices like that, it felt like it wasn't immediate enough. It felt like it wasn't dramatic enough to kind of, permanently lower my shoulders. And I wonder, how do you even begin to unwind?
Well, there's 2 things that you said. So one is you are associating an emotion with the tenseness. So you said that there's like a hopelessness. So anytime that emotion is filling you up, our bodies are responding somatically to this experience that you have, this experience of emotion and body. And then it shows up as tension. It shows up as disease, as illness, as IBS in the stomach area, or heart problems, or just inflammation and arthritis. I mean, it shows up in the body. So yeah, your emotions, your body, they're all tied together. So that's one thing that you've just brought some awareness around, which is good. You want to be able to discern what's happening for you that's creating this shoulder tenseness or whatever it is that you're experiencing. So you've identified some emotion there to explore. So that's one thing. I mean, the other thing is really just more practice. We're going to get better at getting into rest if we practice it.
I never even thought about, I think it is like that emotional wraparound of like, my shoulders are stressed because of all of these outside external stressors. So identifying it is one aspect of it. And I think, as somebody who has been very conditioned to go, 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 go. And I'm saying this not just from my perspective, but I know a lot of people are just built that way. Culturally, it's built that way that, like that grind culture of just, how productive can you be? There's a lot of self-worth wrapped up in that. When I see the body-based techniques of grounding yourself and meditating, it sounds so nice if I had the time. You know what I mean? And part of it is like prioritizing this. So immediately my mind goes to the moment I'm silent is the moment my mind goes in every direction, 1,000,000 miles an hour. And that's a lot. That's a lot mentally, to deal with. How do you deal with that? Like the mental, it's scary for me.
So I think what you're describing is what we call overwhelm.
Okay.
Where there's just a flooding of thoughts and emotions and well, congratulations, because you're human. I mean, I think everybody experiences that. And there's another skill in mindfulness meditation that is worth talking about right now, and it's called equanimity. And equanimity is just allowing whatever your thoughts or emotions are, whatever the bodily sensations are, whatever it is that's happening around you, distractions, maybe your daughter making noise upstairs, whatever it might be. You allow whatever that is to kind of come and go. And we call that letting it come and go in the background. So you can allow these things to happen in the background of your mind, like the busyness and the emotions or the sounds that are disrupting you, while you actually are allowing the front of your mind, the core of your attention, to focus on what you choose to focus it on. And that is the third skill, which is concentration, our ability to really focus on something that we choose to focus on. So if you choose right now to focus on rest, even though we're talking, you can do that. You can choose to work hard at your computer and focus on your blog while there's noise upstairs going on. We know how to do that. We know how to put something in the foreground of our mind and how to let things go in the background of the mind, including your busy, busy thoughts. So even though you're looking for rest, when you're putting the attention and the focus on the rest of the body, the restful states of the body, then whatever the distraction is just falls in the background.
That's a really interesting perspective. And I want to bring it back because you talked about concentration, but you also talked about your own experience of putting the background, putting the pain that you were experiencing going through chemo and not chemo, but radiation, and putting that in the background. I wonder, like when pain is excruciating, and I know that it has been for you. Yeah. I don't know how, watching you go through this and seeing how your attitude really was kind of like, it was like swimming on the top of the water when all of this stuff was really, really painful. Where most people, like I would be under a bridge, you know what I mean? And you were kind of riding on top of it where you acknowledged that it really sucked and that it hurt and that it burned and that, you know, all of those things. But the way that you handled it, you know, that is an art, it seems, and a practice of, you know, when you're in excruciating pain, whether it is emotional, whether it's physical, how do you avert the attention in a way that is healthy? Because there are, you know, sometimes it's good to feel and move through the pain, not, you know, in some cases to kind of successfully process it. But then sometimes it's important to shield yourself to kind of get through. You know, how do you discern that? So
I always ask the question, am I avoiding or neglecting it? You know, so if there's
what's the difference?
They're the same thing. Avoiding and neglecting is what I'm asking myself. Am I avoiding or neglecting something? Because if I am, then I'm not really working through it. You know, if I'm trying to avoid my unpleasantness, my pain or suffering, if I'm trying to avoid it, that's not really working through it. That's just me, you know, kind of turning a blind eye to myself. And I'm never really working through anything. And the only way through suffering, the only way to get through suffering is to actually go through it. Like you have to. So when I say put something in the background, I'm not avoiding it and I'm not neglecting it. I'm recognizing that it's there and I'm acknowledging it. And I'm saying, hey, this sucks. This is painful. This whole thing, you know, having cancer and I might die. That is true. Like it sits here in the background, but I'm not getting gripped by that. I'm not getting swept away by it. I'm not letting my mind go crazy with it. I'm just saying, hey, I acknowledge that that's the truth and that thought is there. And I just put it in the background while I focus my attention on something else, whether it be rest, whether it be a positive thought, maybe it's something else I want to be focusing on. And so what is that? Well, that's skill building. Those are skills that I've learned to do. It's not something that's a superpower that I was just born with, even though I think it's a superpower, but it is something I have been working on. You know, 10, 20 years ago, I would not say that I have this mental agility. I mean, it really is something I've learned to fine tune through the practice of mindfulness meditation.
Well, it sounds like the positive psychology as well. And I guess there's also a fine line between positive psychology and toxic positive psychology, which is like ignoring everything's great, everything's fine. Exactly. You have to have a good attitude. And I think that's where I'm trying to, you know, kind of understand how to take those emotions, acknowledge them in a healthy way, and then be able to let your mind rest.
And that is the focus and equanimity skills that I'm talking about. You know, the other skill we didn't really talk about, which is part of this process, is called clarity. And what you're talking about right now has a lot to do with that skill. It's the clarity, the discernment of what is this emotion? What is the impact of this? What is the feeling of, what's the color of it? What's the shape of it? What is happening in this body experience when this emotion of overwhelm comes, or this emotion of, you know, I'm not enough, or I can't do this, or I don't know what the hell's happening here, or whatever it is, the pain, whatever it is that's going on. It's immediately having this clarity, this sensory clarity around what is happening in my body experience when this emotion is showing up. So it's these three skills that we're learning in mindfulness meditation. It's allowing yourself to focus on what you want to focus on. In this case, it can be rest. It's knowing that there's some clarity happening around whatever emotions or distractions are happening. You can have some clarity around that. And then the other piece is equanimity with it. You're not getting gripped by it. You're not being consumed by it. You're not riding on the tails of the emotional craziness. It's just allowing it to come and go while you put your attention on whatever you want to put it on. In some cases, like right now, I'm putting my attention very closely on what you're saying. You know, that's where my foreground attention is. When I'm with my son, I put my attention with him. When I am in prayer, I put it with God in prayer, right? And so it's where do you want to put your attention? And in this case, today's segment, it's on rest. So I think about, and right now, even when we're talking, my foreground attention is on what I'm saying, but a lot of my background attention is still on, let me rest my toes, let me rest my ankles, let me seem relaxed in the physical body, let me slow my speech.
Wow.
So it's just, where do you put your attention? And this is a skill.
It's such a practice for you too.
It's a practice anybody could have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what are some tools to help? So you talked about relaxing the eyes, relaxing your jaw.
Oh my gosh, yes. So the first one is, and I think the most accessible one, is definitely physical rest. And it really is just, closing
Take a damn
your
nap.
eyes. Yeah, no, actually, you want to be alert. So when you do this practice, it isn't about falling asleep necessarily or going to sleep. This is about finding rest through the day. I think I mentioned this to you once before. Our bodies are on a circadian rhythm of 24 hours. Well, even in the middle of the day, you're on an ultraradian. I think I said that right, which is every 90 to 120 minutes. Your body goes up and down in like a waviness through the day where it has heightened energy and activity, and then it comes down and it wants more rest. But we ignore that signal in the body. We ignore the signal in the body that the body wants a little bit of a break. And so when we work through the day and we work straight through the morning.
Monster drinks.
Coffee, the monster drinks, go right through lunch. Well, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, we're going to crash because we've ignored all the signals of the body that wants rest. So if we just take a quick 5-minute, 10-minute break every 2 hours through the day. I mean, it's 10 minutes. Walk to the bathroom, go outside, sit at your chair at your desk and just do some breathing or thinking about relax your eyes, relax your shoulders. You're giving yourself a little power nap without even falling asleep. So this isn't about sleep. This is about finding rest in the body by using your mind. So you can do that very easily. It's just, again, sitting alert, allowing your spine to be nice and tall, but just thinking systematically, allowing your brain to go from the top of your head, relaxing every muscle area you can think of, the cheeks, the jaw, the neck, the shoulders, the back, the middle back, the belly. I mean, you just go all the way down, the hips, the knees, all the way down to your toes. Takes you a couple minutes and you're going to feel restful. And you just do that a couple times a day. It's so simple. The other one that some people can do that's accessible, not for everyone, because breathing can sometimes be uncomfortable for some people, but you can just take 4 or 5 deep breaths. And the best breathing technique is where you bring in breath of a shorter count than when you let the breath go of a longer count. So as an example, you would bring in breath for 4 count, 1, 2, 3, 4. You'd hold 1, 2, and then you'd let out for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And just by doing this breathing technique, you relax all of this nervous system in your body. And you immediately get into a restful state. Your eyes are open, but you feel more restful. All by breathing and using your mental ability.
I'm thinking about your voice and how calming it is, honestly, because I'm thinking just watching you do those counts, and I'm like, I just feel better just hearing it. And I'm very resistant. Like I am meditating under protest every day.
I know. I work on you.
In general, I am doing it. I am doing it. And I'm spending more time in nature and kind of trying to take more mindfulness breaths. But I think there's something also that needs to be addressed too, is that, we talked in the very beginning about, being in an external place that's going to allow you to relax. And I think a lot of it is, you talked about kind of riding the wave of what happens during the day. And, I will tell you a story that this morning before you came here, I woke up and was fine. And all of a sudden, it felt like literally a gray cloud coming in where my mood, I just all of a sudden got pissed. Not pissed, but like in a bad mood. And I had no reason for it. And I was mad. I was mad at myself for like, why is this even happening? You know? And I was laughing at the same time of just, you know, I know it's going to come and go. I was trying the equanimity.
Equanimity.
Just, you know, yeah. But it just kind of came, and I'm like, I was in a fine mood. Like, why would this even happen? And so personally, I struggle with external things, and a lot of that has to do with a need for more grounding myself, to like source my own energy and, you know, create a protective, I don't know if it is barrier, but allowing myself, my tree trunk of my body to be stronger than any headwinds that might come for whatever reason. And I wonder about your thoughts on that.
You know, I study under Shinzen Young, and one of the things that he says is there's an equation for suffering, and it is pain times resistance equals suffering. And so in the example that you give around the dark cloud coming through, you know, it's a symbol of something that's bothering you, and then you're having resistance to that, which is just causing more suffering. You know, so using mindfulness meditation can allow you an opportunity to either examine the cloud and detangle it or understand it a bit more, like not be afraid of it, not resist it, and learning how to work with it. It's called turning toward. So you could turn toward the cloud and say, okay, now you're here. Welcome. It's interesting.
Welcome.
You know what I mean? Like turn it. It's
not the F off.
No resistance. Resisting causes more pain.
Okay.
So now we're turning toward it and saying, welcome. You know, you're here. What does it mean? You know, what is the information that this brings to me? And if it's nothing, if it's just part of the experience, because, you know, your body at this moment, for whatever reason, hormonally could be, or whatever, some sort of chemistry is happening in your body you don't know, then this black cloud shows up, this dark gray cloud, just say, welcome, you're here. Thank you for coming, you know, and allow it to pass without any examination. And that's called turning away. So you can either anchor away from it or you can turn towards it. But in any case, it's allowing it its freedom. I'm not resisting it. I'm not neglecting it. I'm not avoiding it. I just recognize it for what it is. I have equanimity with it. I might use a little sensory clarity, like try to understand it if I want to. If not, you don't have to. There's no rules on it. And then you allow your focus to go where you want it to go.
I think that's so powerful.
It is powerful.
Yeah. How do you work through those things too when you know you get bad news or something happens where all of a sudden it's like a lightning bolt has just kind of altered your day in a way you weren't expecting?
I mean, that happens to me a lot.
Yeah.
I've been the bearer of lots of bad news over my time, as you know. So, you know, a lot of issues trying to get pregnant, you know, almost dying when I was giving birth to my son. It was the worst labor and delivery situation. My sister passing away not long after that. I mean, it's just one thing after another. And then having cancer and having cancer again. I mean, yeah, I get a lightning bolt. I understand what a lightning bolt is. I don't know if I don't think I handled it well, you know, before. It was very challenging and it put me in a very sad and dark place. So I kind of understand.
But do you think a sad and dark place is necessary? Because that is profound grief.
It is grief. And I think it is, I don't know if it's necessary. I don't know if anything is necessary, but it's part of the human condition. You know, it's part of just what happens when bad news comes. So we allow ourselves to go through this grieving process. What I have learned through mindfulness meditation is to understand how my focus works, how my sensory clarity works, and how to have equanimity with that.
But how do you think you could have handled it better?
I don't think it's a matter of how I would handle it better. I think I just look back on it and know where I have been able to, how it has led me to where I am now. You know, all of our life experience, good and bad, all of it brings us to where we are today. I wouldn't be where I am unless I had gone through the suffering. I don't think. It's all part of the path. So I don't look back on it and judge it. There's no judgment on it.
I'm wondering for you, it's almost like you have this mission, to get all these certifications, to learn these techniques. Why is it so important to you? What is driving it?
So my mission, I did a lot of work on my mission and a few years ago, and my mission is flourishing people. And really that means to me that people are in a heightened state of wellness, mental wellness, along with emotional, physical, spiritual wellness. So why is that such a passion for me? I think because I've gone through so much, all of this suffering, all of this loss, I had a terrible childhood. Sorry, parents. I know they did their best, but it was really hard.
Yeah.
And, so I did not grow up with ease. So it has been very hard. And I think I look around and I realize that I spent a lot of my time in a corporate ladder. And I climbed that ladder and I was very ambitious and I'm very bright. And, I just thought that was so important, but I was so unhappy. I was so unhappy. And I enjoyed my corporate life. I enjoyed being successful because I knew I had the drive to do it. But I realized it wasn't the most important thing in life. That isn't what flourishing is. So I like working with people that want to, that they're on a similar path where they recognize they're not where they want to be mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and they want to be better. They want a better life for themselves. And so that's where I am. That really gets me going every day. And people like you, Allison, who are like so resistant to meditation.
It's a wonder we're friends.
I love it.
It's like your mission.
I love that you entertain it though, it's like but I know it's hard. I was resistant to it. I thought it was silliness. When I was on my corporate ladder, I thought it was silliness because I'd looked at it then. I did a lot of corporate development work and I looked at it then for our leaders and I thought they're never going to buy this. This is silly stuff, But when you go through all the stuff that I've gone through, you look at it again and say, where am I going to find peace? Where do I find peace and rest? Where can I find calm in the midst of all of this crappy stuff that goes on in life? And this is where I have found it.
Is there, people talk about self-care, the spa day, go get a mani, go take a bubble bath. And people are so freaking burned out. Like,
I know.
It's like not even worth it. Like it doesn't really make a dent in it. And I think and it sounds like this is body based, like this commitment towards, going inward and kind of feeling your way through it and training your mind to reorganize the thoughts in a different way, in a way that's going to serve you versus work against you.
I love the fact you use the word reorganize your thoughts because there is this body of research and this big, beautiful word called neuroplasticity.
It's a big buzzword right now, too.
It's a big word, yeah. But basically all that means is that your brain is able to adapt to change. And it reorganizes around whatever is happening in the brain. So if bad situations are happening or if you're really struggling in some way, the mind begins to work around that. Just like for me in that example I gave earlier around the fact that the doctor indicated that my body was under stress. And I was like, what? How can it be under stress? I don't understand that. Well, the brain worked around all of that. My brain built the neuroplasticity around that. So I didn't have to really deal with that, even though it was still evident in my body. Right. So we do that around a lot of different things. So we reorganize our thoughts. So why not learn to reorganize your thoughts in a positive way?
Mm-hmm.
Why not? Why do we keep holding on to bad things?
Because I have you here, I cannot believe the way you handle when the world blows up, and people around you are in heightened states and they're attacking you. How do you stay in a calm state?
I do. I use what I call my tender, calm voice.
Okay. Tell me more.
It's training again. It really is. And when you're able to, what I do is I just slow the picture down. It's almost like I immediately think about what is happening around me as a movie, and I just slow the movie down. And I slow myself down.
Have you ever been quick to anger, or has that not really been yours? Because it seems like a slow burn when somebody else might be quick to anger, But like I'm trying to think of like matching, or when it's easy to just blow up.
Actually, so emotion is different, and yeah, I'm very quick to anger, but I choose to respond without anger. That's the difference.
That's insane.
So
tell us your secrets.
So the anger is there. I mean, I'm human. I've got this emotional somatic experience, right? Something happens, I get really mad. The other day I was telling you about my mom driving me crazy about something. So, I mean, it's an immediate flush. My face turns red. I'm having a somatic experience, a physical experience to the anger. I can feel my throat constricting. I can feel my chest getting tight. I mean, I'm immediately using my mental focus and sensory clarity to say, what's happening in my sensory experience? What's happening right now while I'm feeling angry? So, and it's happening within a split second, right? But this is what I'm doing when something happens, I'm going to get angry. I can't control my emotion.
Yeah.
That dark cloud you're talking about, you can't control that. It just comes. And I say, welcome. I'm noticing you. I'm noticing I'm a little angry about this situation. So I have a choice. I can focus on how I respond. Will I respond with anger, or will I respond with a tender, calm voice? And how does that happen?
Tender, calm voice sounds passive aggressive.
I don't know what you mean, Allison.
Is that your tender, calm voice?
No. I was just messing with you.
Yeah.
But it's training. I mean, it really is all part of this mindfulness meditation practice. It really is the practice of doing this. And it doesn't take a lot of time. It's minutes while you're brushing your teeth. You have 2 minutes. Hopefully you're brushing your teeth for 2 minutes. While you're in the shower, washing your hair, you're practicing this. It is all about what you choose to focus on. You don't have to sit on a pillow for 3 hours like a Buddhist monk or anything like that. You can, at any point of the day, while you're walking outside in nature, while you're doing the dishes, while you're sitting here at your desk for 3 minutes, and you just, you can just take 3 minutes before you do the next task. That's all that it takes. That's it. All day long. It's called daily practice. So you can have formal practice where you sit in quiet, which is really good, of course. And then it's usually for more than 10 minutes. But you could do these micro hits all day long, short little moments in daily practice. It's just, where do I put my focus right now? What am I noticing about my physical, emotional experience? What do I want to have equanimity with right now? What do I need to let go of? All day long.
I think the question, what do I need to let go of, is really powerful and probably not asked enough.
And it might be another podcast.
Another episode, yeah.
Because what you have to let go of in order to find rest is you have to let go of activity. You got to let go of activity. But we don't want to, because it goes back to what you said at the beginning of this podcast, which is we are culturally so dialed up in having to be busy. We just have this in our mind that we aren't good enough unless we're busy. We're not this unless we're busy enough. We're not going to be successful unless we're busy. Well, that's the thing, is that busyness doesn't always equal success. So our minds make up this story about we can't sit still, but we can. What if your mind told you that for you to find more rest and to let go of stress more, you would be more successful? What if we told ourselves that?
I think I saw, every once in a while you'll come across Instagram and find something that actually resonates, like a quote. And somebody had said that, success to me has nothing to do with money. Success to me is peace.
Yes.
And that completely floored me because I never thought of it that way. And that, just that thought of like, there is no amount of money in the bank account that would let me rest, or think, okay, that's enough, or accolades or anything. And that's, that peace part kind of shifted everything of what does peace look like for me.
Yeah, I love that so much because we have in our minds what success should be. And a lot of times it's tied to things like money or like a certain title at a job and all of those things are good. I'm not saying that they're not, but that isn't what really brings happiness, fulfillment, and peace. That's a state of being. Restfulness is calm as well. So rest, calm, tranquility, finding a place or a spot where you are fully accepting yourself in a moment of rest and letting go of stress. What
a beautiful way to put it. What do you know that you wish other people could know?
What do I know that I wish other people could know? I wish that people would know Allison, I wish you would know.
It's my own therapy session. Welcome to it.
Allison, what I wish you would know is how easy it is to access this mindfulness meditation in that it isn't scary and that it will bring you more rest and peace. And that it's easy to do. It doesn't take extra time. It doesn't take extra time. It just takes focus. It just takes a moment where you realize, hey, let me turn my attention on this instead of that. That's all that it is. It's building this muscle. You have this brain muscle, and it's just like doing a rep at the gym. Every time you return your attention to something you want to put your attention on, it's like doing one rep with the weight. So when you feel that your mind is wandering on something, just say, okay, great. That's human. I'll just bring it back to this other thing I want to focus on. And you just practice that all through the day. You just learn to bring your attention back. So I think that's what I would want people to know, is that it's very simple and easy, and it has huge rewards on your
nervous system, right?
Your nervous system, the health of your body. There's so much research that shows that it benefits your relationships. It benefits, your children, because you're just able to work with your own self in a better way. If we want to be better people, then we want to be able to be better at ourselves, managing ourselves.
I think that's the key to everything.
Yeah.
I think we try and fix the things around us to make sure we've got the environment around, but it really is internal. Thank you for that. How can people work with you?
So I would love for them to contact me. I'll give you my website, but I'll start some mindfulness meditation classes so they could find those on my website. Those will be coming soon. But also, I was thinking, Allison, I'm going to do a couple of recordings. So if you wanted to provide those to your listeners, they could.
That'd be great.
Do some really short, like 3-minute.
Oh, I love
rest.
that. Yes.
So as soon as you help me figure out how to do a microphone,
no problem.
Set up a microphone, I will do some recordings and maybe you could provide those. But I would love to help people really tap into a greater source of calm and strength that they could get from mindfulness meditation if they choose to go that path.
Because you've been doing career coaching for a long time, but it is more of a holistic side of things, but it's morphing into more mindfulness practice. How do you work with clients today?
Yeah. So I have been a career coach for a very long time, and I'm very good at it, and I do love that. But people bring a lot of stress. Looking for a job can be stressful, and oftentimes it starts with exploring yourself. What are your strengths? What do you really want? What's really going to make you happy in a career? So it oftentimes will move on to other areas of life, life development. And a lot of times that life development has to do with something they're struggling with. Something they're struggling with, whether it's a relationship they're struggling with, or they're struggling with themselves. They're just not happy. They can't figure out why they're so unhappy. So yes, I do quite a bit of life coaching for people.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here, Maureen Whatley, one of my favorite people in the whole world.
Oh, thank you so much.
Sometimes I feel indulgent that I have all of these experts on to help me solve my own issues. But then I hear from you, and I hear that it's resonating, and I feel a little better that I'm not alone, but sad that I'm not alone in this. I know it is a struggle, right? But we're always continuously learning. But you can connect with Maureen Whatley in the links in my show notes. I've also linked her quick meditation so you can start your own practice on mental rest right away. I also urge you to subscribe to my weekly personal emails at ALLISON'S as I go deeper and more personal into these topics. Oh, and there is a big enhancement I'm making to this podcast, so stay tuned to the blog and be the first to know. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week.